There are moments in human history when the quietest actions become the most powerful. Habits, the routines you think you control, often control you. They dictate your choices, your energy, and even the trajectory of your life. Most of the time, you don't see them as chains, because chains can be invisible, subtle, and disguised as comfort. Every day you wake, repeat, and surrender to patterns that promise ease but deliver stagnation. But what if there were systems that could dismantle these invisible forces? Ancient Japanese philosophies, developed not just for survival but for mastery, hold keys to breaking habits in a way that is profound, psychological, and transformative. This is not about motivation, tricks, or temporary discipline. This is about redesigning yourself from the inside out. Before you begin, understand this. Breaking habits is rarely an act of brute force. It is an act of strategy, observation, and alignment. The same principles that guided samurai, artisans, and sages, forged over centuries of careful discipline, can be applied to your life. If you are willing to confront your weaknesses, examine your routines, and commit to deliberate change, these systems will serve as tools for liberation. They are frameworks that align human psychology with intentional growth. Keep this in mind as you journey through the first system, the foundation upon which all others will build. Strength, consistency, and transformation begin with small change. Kaizen, the philosophy of continuous improvement, is deceptively simple. Most people approach change as a war, a battle of will against habit. Kaizen teaches something very different, that the human brain resists massive shifts because they trigger fear. Transformation does not demand explosions of willpower. It demands quiet micro-revolutions. One tiny adjustment at a time, imperceptible to the conscious mind, gradually erodes habits that once seemed unbreakable. When you change one behavior at a time, the mind cannot fight it. You become a strategist, quietly undermining old patterns, reshaping yourself without the ego noticing. This is the first system, mastery through incremental, deliberate change, the patient chipping away at old structures until freedom emerges. Once you begin to shift, purpose becomes essential. Ikigai, the pursuit of a reason for being, confronts the silent void that fuels bad habits. Modern life distracts, numbs, and overwhelms. Without meaning, habits fill the emptiness and impulses control you. Ikigai forces reflection. What you love, what you are skilled at, what the world needs, and what can sustain you. This alignment transforms habits from mindless repetition into intentional, meaningful routines. When you know your reason for acting, indulgence loses its grip. Your behavior is no longer reactionary. You move towards significance, not away from discomfort. The second system teaches that habits survive in emptiness, and purpose dismantles them completely. Discipline evolves into mastery with shuhari, a principle from Japanese martial arts describing three stages: obey, break, transcend. Most people live in obedience to habits, to impulses, to immediate gratification without awareness of their patterns. To break habits, you must first understand them. Obey the pattern until you know it intimately, then break it deliberately, and finally transcend it, creating behaviors that serve your higher self. Shuhari reveals that habit transformation is not linear. It is a journey through awareness, rejection, and reconstruction. Mastery over self requires patience, observation, and courage to evolve beyond old frameworks. The subtle genius of Shuhari is that it turns you from a victim of your routines into a deliberate architect of your mind and actions. Perfectionism, an often overlooked obstacle, silently sabotages growth. Wabi-Sabi, the art of embracing imperfection, transforms this destructive tendency into resilience. Habits fail when you demand flawless execution, when mistakes become shameful stops rather than opportunities to adjust. Wabi-Sabi teaches that flaws are part of growth, that progress thrives in imperfection. Cracks can be repaired, patched, and even celebrated. Accepting imperfection prevents the downward spiral of shame and procrastination. Your habits shift not because you are flawless, but because you are committed to consistent, adaptable improvement. It is the subtle art of patience, allowing progress to flourish in the gaps, the missteps, and the quiet learning that most people ignore. Sometimes small changes are not enough. Kaikaku represents radical transformation, when systems, environments, or lifestyles must be rebuilt entirely. Habits often return because external conditions remain unchanged. Kaikaku demands decisive, strategic disruption. A new environment, a new schedule, a completely restructured approach that reshapes behavior at its source. Radical change is frightening because it forces you to confront instability, but it is sometimes necessary to dismantle entrenched patterns that micro-adjustments cannot reach. This is the system of transformative intervention, breaking the old to build the new. It is not reckless upheaval. It is deliberate, calculated, and designed to produce lasting transformation. Discipline also requires restraint. Haragei, the practice of eating until 80% full, symbolizes broader control over desires. Modern life is a flood of excess. Food, entertainment, stimulation, and habits thrive in overconsumption. By practicing restraint, you condition yourself to act with mindfulness rather than impulse. Restraint is not deprivation. It is awareness and control. It teaches delayed gratification, focus, and patience. When you master desire, habits lose their power over you. This system anchors self-regulation in everyday action, reinforcing that discipline is not punishment but empowerment. Finally, reflection solidifies transformation. Hansei, the practice of self-examination, confronts the unconscious cycles that perpetuate habits. Most people avoid introspection because it forces honesty with failures, impulses, and patterns. Hansei demands meticulous observation of every choice, every slip, every success. Through this practice, you identify root causes, adjust strategies, and reinforce growth. Habits do not persist when the mind is alert, accountable, and self-aware. Mastery emerges not just from action, but from deliberate reflection. By observing yourself with honesty and discipline, you ensure that each step forward is grounded in awareness, preventing regression and fostering continuous evolution. The seven systems, Kaizen, Ikigai, Shuhari, Wabi-Sabi, Kaikaku, Haragei, and Hansei, form a holistic approach to breaking habits. They do not rely on willpower alone, but on structured insight into the mind, body, and environment. Incremental improvement, purpose, mastery, acceptance of imperfection. Radical disruption, disciplined restraint, and relentless reflection together dismantle patterns and create sustainable transformation. Applied consistently, these principles allow you to regain control over routines that once controlled you, reshape identity, and live intentionally. They are not theoretical concepts. They are practical, actionable frameworks designed to guide you through resistance, distraction, and the unconscious pull of old behaviors. Breaking habits is not a one-time victory. It is the ongoing construction of self. You are not fighting routines. You are redesigning patterns of thought, behavior, and response. Each system provides a tool for awareness and intervention. Each principle teaches patience, discipline, and strategic engagement with your own psychology. Transformation is cumulative. One insight builds upon another. One small action compounds. The combination of these seven systems creates a structure for radical, sustainable, and intentional change. You are building a framework that will outlast motivation, willpower, and fleeting inspiration. Ultimately, the power to break habits lies within a framework that aligns intention with action, reflection with practice, and discipline with insight. The Japanese systems show that lasting change is possible not through force alone, but through design, strategy, and understanding of human behavior. Your habits shape you, but with insight and practice, you can reshape them. The path requires patience, courage, and awareness, but it is navigable, and the results are profound. By integrating these seven systems into your life, you reclaim control, cultivate mastery, and build a life aligned with purpose, clarity, and intentional growth. Every step you take, every observation, and every adjustment compounds, transforming you into someone capable of acting with intention in a world that constantly encourages mindless repetition. When you look at these systems, it becomes clear. Transformation is not an act of willpower, it is an architecture. Kaizen teaches consistency. Ikigai fuels purpose. Shuhari cultivates mastery. Wabi-Sabi nurtures resilience. Kaikaku creates radical change. Hara-Hache-Bu anchors discipline, and Hansei ensures growth is conscious and deliberate. Taken together, they are not just tools for breaking bad habits. They are a blueprint for reconstructing your life, your routines, and your self-perception. The power to act, to choose, to evolve, it is not outside of you. It has been within you all along. Breaking a habit is not the end. It is the beginning of a conscious, intentional journey. You are no longer reacting. You are observing. You are designing. You are growing. Each system reinforces the others, creating a network of principles that guide every choice, every moment, every repetition. The chains that once controlled you begin to dissolve, replaced by a structure that supports sustained, meaningful transformation. You are becoming the architect of your own behavior, and in that, you reclaim freedom, clarity, and control. This is the essence of the Japanese systems for habit transformation. They are not quick fixes or motivational slogans. They are profound, tested, and enduring methods for reshaping human behavior. Through consistent application, you build a mind and body that operate in alignment with your highest intentions. Your habits no longer dominate you. You dominate your habits. You become the intentional force behind every action, every choice, and every step forward. You create momentum that compounds, producing change that is deep, meaningful, and sustainable. The journey is demanding, yes. It challenges comfort, exposes weakness, and forces self-examination. But it is also liberating. By mastering these 7 systems, you step into a life of agency, clarity, and intentionality. You no longer drift in patterns dictated by impulse or environment. Instead, you navigate life with a mind, body, and spirit aligned, resilient, and capable. Your habits are no longer obstacles. They are instruments of your own design. And in that design, you discover the power to transform not just your routines, but yourself entirely.